Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's very nice to have you here for a video about the CLI find, which, as the name indicates, can find some directories or file in your file system. As always with my videos, you can open a terminal and follow along with me and trying the different commands I'm doing. You can find the files I'm using in my GitHub account, and the link is in the description of this video. And from time to time, I ask you some little question and exercises. What you can do if you want is to pause the video and try to solve the problem, just for you to practice and remember what we see today. So find, it's a CLI, as I was saying, and here's the basic structure on the right of your screen. So first you can add options like many CLI. You need to precise the starting point, and if there is none, well, it will be your current working directory. And then the most important thing are the expressions you can bring or put afterward. So basically the expressions are always beginning by a minus and then the name of the expression, like name. So it's not really a CLI option. Don't mix them with that. It's really a way to do different things. And what are those different things? An expression can be of a precise type, and the different expression type you can have or a test and action expression. So test can filter your search and actions can act on the result of the search. It's the most two important types of expression. Then you have global options, which are changing the operation of test and action expression. You have positional option, which will affect the different expressions after you give your positional options. And there is the operators, which will link the different expression and create a logical sense of them. So you can use AND for all your expression to affect the search, or you can use the logical OR if you need to have some priority. By default, if you don't use any operator, it will always be AND used, which means that every expression you will use in your command is will all affect the search. So let's begin. If you use find without anything, without any starting point or expression, by default it will search everything from the default starting point, which is your current working directory, and it will go recursively into every subdirectories and display everything. It's the equivalent of find dot, because dot represents the working directory, and I always prefer using find dot to be very clear what is the starting point, but it's not mandatory. You don't have to do that. All right, that's the real basic of find. Now we will dive a bit in this video into test expressions, which will filter your search. So the easiest test expression you can use is empty, which will output only the empty file in your directory structure. And here I have two empty files. I have hidden and I have empty file.md. So let's write them here. Test expressions. So you have empty. Next up you have name. This one is really useful. I use it a lot. And it will filter for the file name of the different files or directories, and only the file name, not the file path. So for example, if I do readme.md for the name, it will output readme.md. If I do documents, it will output the folder documents. But I don't need to precise the whole path to find readme.md. For example, I don't have to precise document/readme.md. It's really only on the file name. And you can use as name a different shell expression. So what's a shell expression? Many CLI can use them. And it's three things. It's a star, it could be a question mark, or it could be the square bracket. So you might know it, but a star can replace any character. So for example, if I do readme.star, it would output readme.md, but if I had, I don't know, readme.txt, it would work as well. For example, I can do with a star as well, you know, star.md, and then every MD file would be found. So it's useful to know. It's not a regular expression, so you can't use meta characters from the regular expressions set, or the most used one. But we will come to that. Another useful test expression we have is whole name. And with that, you can match this time the whole file path. So if I do whole name readme.md, it won't work because I really need to precise the whole file path for whole name to work. So it would be documents readme.md. And this time it will work because it matches the whole file path. Here as well, you can use different shell expression. So here, star readme.md will match every characters before, so document readme.md works. And if I do that, it will be exactly the same as if I only use name here. Because of course star.md will match every file name or file path before the extension. So it could be useful as well if you want to search and filter for very precise file paths. Another very useful one is regex, and this time we are going a bit deeper into the different way you can search some files and directory. So if you do regex, now you can use the full set of basic regular expression engine. So for example, if you want to find every MD files or log file, you could do something like that. So if you have no idea about regex, I have a video about grep regexes, which can help you if you want. So if I run that, I will have search all the log and MD file of my file system from my working directory. You can as well use what is called a positional option, which means it's another type of expression, and it means that it will affect every expression after that. So you can use a positional option regex type, and if you do regex type help, it will display an error, but you will have all possible regex types you can use. So you can, it's about regex engines. So depending on the regex engines you can use different meta characters. So for example, you have the grep regex engine, you have the awk one, you have egrep, and most of the time what I would suggest you is to use the egrep one, and then you don't have to escape every meta characters for them to work. You can do something like that. and it should work. Yep. Without the regex type, it uses basic regular expression, which are pretty sketchy because you need to escape a lot of meta characters. If you do that, it won't work. You need to escape the, as we did before, the or, the pipe, and the different parentheses for it to work. If you want to search but without the case, so if you do that, for example, readme.md, it won't work because it's readme.md. The case is not, the case is sensitive. If you want case insensitive, you can use exactly the expression we saw, except empty, and you can just add an I for insensitive before at the beginning of the expression name. So if I do that, it will work this time. If I do this, it will work as well. And without the I, it won't. So it's nice to know as well, and it's because I mean you could think it's an option, like in many CLI you have the -I option to do that, but with find there are not that many options. The options you can use with find are mostly about symlinks, and we won't see them in this video. But you can use different expressions for expressing your will to use case or not. That was a mouthful, but I hope you get it. I mean, it's pretty simple. So that's all for finding names. Now we will look at expressions which will filter your search depending of the different permissions of your files and directory. So, for example, if you want to display only the writable file for the current user you're using right now, you can do the -writable. Then you will have all the writable file. You can do executable as well. Writable, executable, and it will only output the file which are executable by the current user. And readable, the same. Oops. It will only output the readable file. Of course, you can add more expressions than that. You can add as many expressions as you want, like that, if you want to precise the name as well. If you want a README file which is for sure readable by your user, you can do that. Another way to filter by permission is to use perm, and it's really powerful, this one. I won't go in every single possibility you have with this expression, but you can use the octal way to write your permission. So for example, if I want only files with permission 644, I can do that. Or I can use as well the symbolic expression of permission, like U equal W means the user can write the file. And here we go. And if you use a slash at the beginning of your permission and you add other permission, it means that it's a OR expression. So it means that it will filter every files where the user can write and the group can read. If you don't want an OR, but you want an AND, you want the user to be able to write the files and the group to read the files, you just delete the slash, and then you have nothing anymore because there is no files the user can write and the group can read. All right, next up, filtering by username. So first I will just write term here. So user name. So you can filter your files and directory depending of the owner of the files and directory. So if you want to display every files which are owned by root, well, it won't display anything because there is no file which is owned by root. They are owned by Hypnos, which is my wonderful username. And this time, of course, everything is owned by the Hypnos user. So let's add this user expression. And last expression we will see in this video is type. And this one is really useful as well. It means that you can filter the different search results by type. And what's a type? It could be a file. So what is called a regular file, because you know in Unix and Linux systems everything is a file, but some files are different than others. There are some special files. So regular file is, well, you know, a file. And here we go. It will only display the files. You can only display the directory with -type D for directories. This time you will have only directories, and you can do type L for symlink, and you will have the wonderful symlink as output. So let's do that, type F, L, or D. There are other type of files, but I won't speak about them here because we use them way less often than, you know, the regular file or the directory or the symlink. All right, so let's do some little exercise. Can you output all the files in the directory documents using find? So what we want is only the directory document and all the files and directories which are in document. So you can pause the video if you want right now and try to answer the question. And here's the answer. You just do find and then you use document as a starting point. And here you will have everything which is in documents. Nice. Next, can you find all the log file from your working directory? Here's the answer. You can do find dot or just find without dot if you want, because, you know, by default it's a working directory when there is no starting point. And we want to find every files which are logs. And here we go. Okay, for the next exercises, I will just hide the information on the right for it to be a bit more challenging. So let's go. Can you find all the log file from your working directory owned by your current user? Here's the answer. You can do find name, and you want all the log files, and then you want your current user, which is, for me, Hypnos, but for you it's the name of your current user. And here we go. You can do something different as well. If you have only one user on your Linux or Unix system, the ID of this user is 1000. It's very likely. So you can as well use the user ID for with the expression user, and it will work the same. Like that, you don't have you don't necessarily have to know the name of your current user. You can do as well who am I if you want to, and if you do echo who am I, just echo the name of your user. Okay, last exercise. can you find the regular files from your working directory owned by your current user, which are readable, writable, and executable? So you have multiple ways to do that, but what you can do is find a user, let's say, who am I? Type of file, regular file, and which are readable, writable, and executable. You can do readable, writable, and executable. And you have readme in documents. And indeed, you can see here that it's readable, writable, and executable for the current user. All right, that's all for today. I hope you liked the video. I will do a follow-up on find, I think, because there are other expressions you can use to act on the search, act on the files of the search by themselves, and it's pretty useful to have good one-liner in your scripts. Thanks a lot for watching. If you like the video and you like to please the YouTube algorithm, because everybody, you know, is speaking about the YouTube algorithm, and the YouTube algorithm is like kind of a god we try to please by giving some like. So yeah, if you like the video, please click on the thumb up and all of that. And you can as well you know, follow my channel. It would help me a lot. Have a nice day. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time.